OYTPC. Joshua Stewart, pipe up north. Well, as you can see, I am up north in the woods. And thought it'd be appropriate, I'm going to do a kind of a first impressions of Cascadia Trailhead. So I thought it'd maybe be appropriate to do that up here in the woods at a trailhead. So we get right to it. We'll see if we can get this tin popped and see what the first impressions are. I don't know if you can hear it or not. You probably can. There's a fair amount of traffic on the highway today, so and I'm a little ways away from it, but the air seems to be pretty dense today, so it definitely carries. Okay, tin. Get the little puck out. Not an overly powerful tin note. You can see it's those dense little plugs, brownies some people call them. I'd say about 1.25 inches thick, about 3/4 inch wide, and it's at about 2 inches long. Yeah, so. All right, well, I'm going to pause you for a minute while I slice off a little bit here, because these dense plugs, sometimes they can be troublesome. So hold on just tight for just a bit. All right, just show you here real quick what I sliced off a couple of little flakes, you can maybe call them. I don't want to tilt it too much here, otherwise it'll slide off, but they're really thin, maybe that was maybe a little over 1 millimeter. The end is probably about that, but I usually try to slice these dense plugs as thick as, not as thick, as thin as I can get them. They just seem to burn a little better that way. And it seems like a lot of these tobaccos that come in these dense plugs are usually pretty good, but they are kind of a pain to prepare. So, all right. So, and I'll usually just take them and break them up a little bit. Still not, I mean, there's a little bit of scent there, but can't really place what it is. So anyway, once I get them broken up like that, I usually try to pick out the thickest ones to put in the bottom of the bowl. I'm going to pause you for just a minute here while I pack the pipe. All right, I do have the pipe packed. This is just a Missouri Meerschaum Legend, which are one of the smaller bowls for a corn cob, or medium bowl. I don't know how you describe it, but anyway, what I sliced off and what I showed you, only about 2/3 of it was able to fit in here, so I'll save the rest for later. So we'll light it up and see what we get. I'd say very first impression is pleasant. Kind of like the tin note, not overpowering one way or another. That's just on the char light here too. So, and I didn't give this any dry time. I mean, it's been what are we 5 minutes into the video, so it's maybe been 7 minutes since the tin got cracked. So, give it another light here. Now, if you've watched any of my other first impression or review videos, I think that's the neighbor kid in his square body with the LS. I don't know if you heard it or not, but I could definitely hear it. I got a feeling relights are going to be the story of the day on this. If I don't, since I didn't give it any dry time. But anyway, I was saying, if you've seen some of my other first impressions and reviews, I don't get into detail with all the nuances of flavors. It's basically either I like it or I don't, and if you're lucky, you get why I like it or why I don't. Yeah, so far, can't really say a whole lot one way or another. I mean, it's pleasant, not overpowering. I guess I could maybe say very light flavored. I'll puff on this for a little bit and hold tight. I'll pull up the description too here. So, all right, I got a description pulled up here. Give me just a moment. I'll read it to you. Now, some of this is kind of sales fluff, but we'll read it anyway. When you're sitting down to a roaring campfire following an activity-filled day surrounded by nature in all its glory, nothing is more satisfying than a robust bowl of tobacco, and we've got one for you that you think you'll love, Cascadia Pipe Company Trailhead. A lot of fluff there, but the dark, rich plug is made of deeply fermented burley and matured Virginias with a dried fruit note added to remove the edge of the spice and earthiness of the burley, creating a slightly sweet and harmonious flavor that you'll enjoy the evening before it's time to turn in. The plug will stay fresh and moist even after opening and allow you to prepare it in whatever way you prefer. End your day the perfect way with Trailhead. So, of that, what does it say there? A robust bowl of tobacco. I would not, at least at this point, call it robust. I mean, it seems fairly light to me. And it's not evening before I turn in either. I just woke up probably an hour and a half ago. So, what did it say? A dried fruit topping? I'd say that dried fruit is very, very light. I mean, if it wouldn't have said it, I probably wouldn't have called it out. Well, this is the last of the Cascadias that I've tried. And I would have to say that so far my favorite is Vertical Limit, which I think that's either a straight Virginia or Vapor, another one of these heavy dense plugs. And to me, that's right up there with probably in the top 10 range for me. And I would say this would probably have to be tied for Downwind as my second favorite of the Cascadias. Downwind is, to my palate anyway, a little bit richer. A little bit more intense flavor. But they're both good in different ways. Is it a top 10? Not quite. But this is just my first bowl. I might have a few more and I might decide that I really like it. And what were the other two? Open Water. That one was so-so. The Campsite, which is the one that I was most looking forward to, I could really care less about. And I'll finish the tin that I have, but I don't think I'll be buying another. Although it might take me a couple of years to finish the tin. So, yeah. So anyway, I'm up north in the woods at the trailhead. Enjoying it in Missouri Meerschaum Legend. And it's having a hard time staying lit, which I kind of expected. And it's overcast and a little bit humid today, so that makes it hard for it to dry out too. So anyway, I'm not going to flip the camera around or anything, but just for reference, the trailhead where I'm at here, the tent is kind of behind the camera to my left. I guess it'd be your right, and the new cabin is kind of straight to my left, about 50 feet. I've not made much progress on it. I've been working on it a little bit this weekend, but I'd say most of the work is not on the cabin itself, it's on the stuff that's going onto the cabin. Because I don't remember if I've mentioned before, but we're doing a timber frame with the traditional mortise and tenon joinery, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to avoid metal fasteners in the structure of the building. Now, once we get to the roofing and cladding, obviously we're going to be using some nails and screws, but so basically this weekend I've been trying to mill up some logs, which that's a lot of work, especially when I'm doing it all by myself. And what's today? September 14th, I believe it is today. Sunday, September 14th. This is not wanting to stay lit. And anyway, as you can see behind me, we're starting to get some color up here already, which seems a little early. We're probably a week or two ahead of where it would normally be getting like this. Let's see if it'll stay lit this time. Probably not if I'm talking. We're mostly conifers right in this area, though we do have a fair amount of um, aspen, or around here they call it popple. I do have some other hardwoods here too. I've got some oak and birch. Very little maple here, but there is maple in the area. But this particular area is primarily conifer, pines and spruce. But on the way up, I drive through a band of mixed hardwood forest, and they were already starting to turn too. Like I say, they're probably a week or two ahead of where they normally are for color. Normally, our peak colors in this area are usually beginning of October, like the first week of October. Sometimes the second week, but I'm guessing this year our peak color is going to be probably the last week of September. Okay, another thought on this trailhead. It's as I'm getting into it, it is kind of deepening, richening in flavor a little bit. Can't say I'm picking up that dried fruit note that they claim is in there, but it might be there. I'm going to pause you for just a couple minutes, and I'm going to take this bowl down a little bit and give you my thoughts. All right, it's been 5 or 10 minutes. And it's definitely kind of building as the bowl goes on. It was very, very light to begin with, but it's becoming, as the description said, more robust. as I get down the bowl. And the burleys are definitely starting to come through a little bit more. I've been kind of on a Virginia kick the last couple of months, smoking mostly Virginia's vapors or definitely Virginia based blends. With the exception of some of the codgers, I still have a bowl of Carter Hall several times a week. Had a few bowls of half and half the last couple of days. Now it's a couple hour drive from here to home, so usually I'll smoke codgers when I'm in the car, just because they're typically a little bit lighter on the nicotine end of things, and last thing I want is to get nicotine sick while I'm driving. So I'm going to pause you one more time and get down the bowl a little bit further. All right, I'm going to give you some final thoughts here. It was another 5 or 10 minutes. One thing with these dense plugs is even when you slice them super thin like I did, they seem to last quite a while. The other thing that I've noticed about a lot of these plugs is they're they're pretty gentle as far as bite. Can't think of any of these plugs that I've had like this that have had much bite to them. I'm pretty sensitive to the bite thing. So even if I find one that tastes really good, if it bites, I tend to avoid it. I got some of the aromatics that when I first started the bulk aromatics that you get for a couple bucks an ounce. I'd get them, and they were really good, and I still like them, but they just bite too much. Now, this is actually the first tamp that I just did, and we're 24 minutes into the video, so we're probably a half hour into the bowl. And when I had you pause that last time, I don't think I did any relights, so it's just when I start talking it seems to go out. So yeah, I guess try to summarize the Cascadia Trailhead. To me, my opinion only, your results may vary. It started out very light, and it kind of builds as you get down the bowl. For me, in this cob. And I guess I can see now why they, in the description, they recommend it as a kind of an evening before bed blend, because there is getting to be a little bit of nicotine is noticeable. So yeah, I guess of the Cascadias, I'd definitely say that this one is probably tied for number two. And just to recap, of the Cascadias, my personal favorite. You may be different. Vertical Limit, and I'd say probably a tie between the Trailhead and Downwind. Then Open Water, then Campsite. Which I got to say, Campsite, I was really looking forward to it, but I was actually fairly disappointed once we got to it. So anyway, I'm recording this on a different phone again. It's actually my wife's old phone, so I hope that the audio and video comes out okay. If it doesn't, I might have to reevaluate and come up with something different. So with that, I'll let you go, and I might make one more video as long as I'm here. Just talk about some of the things that are going on in the world. So with that, I'll let you go. Joshua Stewart, Pipe Up North. Have a good day.